Cisco. But as and it was when you arrived at that Burning Man decompression, quite an experience, by the way. But then I was leaving back to Norway. So but now we have an e-meet at least.
Okay, cool. So you're live now on my Facebook wall, and whatever we talk will be shared with my friends. So you were telling me yesterday about your journey of San Francisco and how you networked with the fellow entrepreneurs and how that helps, and now you have a movement about it or something?
Yeah, it's not a movement yet, but it's what I hope to achieve, where we make a platform to try to achieve some of the things you are doing, Rehan. It's about lowering the barriers for people to meet and to help each other. It could be in many ways, but first and foremost as entrepreneurs.
Okay, so how does it have a Facebook group? How do you help? How do we connect? How do we meet each other? Any clues on that?
Yeah, it's based on, like in your case, it's based on my own story and experience. So I did also start as an entrepreneur as a child, more or less, and started my company when I was 20. I saw that you were selling Commodore 64 computers, Rehan, and back then I was a hacker on Commodore 64, not to crack games and distribute them, but to make the operating system better than it was intended to. So back in sorry, I got a phone call there. I have to turn it off. So let me just turn my phone off so it doesn't happen again. So back then I realized that it had been designed as with the graphics just in the middle, and you had this border around it. I don't know if you remember, you could only have one color there. And my mission in life as a kid was to extend it so that you could have graphics all over the screen. And that's why I taught myself assembly language and tried to hack the operating system. And then, of course, using my knowledge in IT to do things more efficient and do things you could not do before. Creating a company when I was 20 and to finance my studies, which went really well. So then from there, we created a search engine for real-time search at late 90s that Microsoft integrated in Internet Explorer and became the search engine for all the media actors in Norway. And of course, growing up in a local neighborhood, it's not easy to start an internationalization path. So for me, it was then very many tough years before we eventually made it in 2007 to become the main vendor to Cisco on mobile in San Francisco. And running such an operation from a remote area has been against all odds. And if we had been better at finding a network and finding friends, all of this would have been so much easier. So for these 10 years now, we have still managed to be at the front of the development and innovation, and for instance, now we have delivered the app for Cisco. That is the main app. That is. Let me show you where I live. That is from.
Are you in San Francisco or in Norway?
Now I'm in Norway. So this is the Norwegian fjords, and trying
I want to
to.
see the snow. Show me the snow. I love it. Show
Oh
me the
yes,
snow.
it's a bit late. It's
So
it's
beautiful.
staying pretty late now. Normally it would have been gone, but this is the city of Ålesund, which is very famous for both the surrounding areas, the fjords here, like Geiranger Fjord, which is on the UNESCO list, but also, of course, from a little place, right, trying to have success in business elsewhere, it's always some challenges. So that's why when we went to Silicon Valley, we were so surprised by the mentality there. Normally, I'm sure that's also the case in Pakistan. You very often tend to try to keep your business ideas secret and to yourself. And coming to Silicon Valley, you are amazed by what random business people can tell you at Starbucks, right? They can tell you any fantastic business idea they have, and then also realizing that they're happy to help as part of their pay it forward mentality. Bless you. And of course, that mentality and pay forward, that is very much a responsibility for those who have had success and are in a position where they can actually help others, but also normally doesn't need lots of resources to be able to help. It can be as basic things as you have black belt in Rehan, doing introductions, right? And it's when these things are done, the magic happens and the blossom blooms. So the reason we made this platform then was, one, to create articles about entrepreneurship and these topics, but also then to create a community where it's easier then to pay it forward by doing these introductions, etc. And to have something that is not as personal as Facebook, because that's also the dilemma you and your friends are facing when you friend someone you don't know. It depends on the culture aspect of it, but very many are kind of a bit afraid of friending people they don't know, and particularly when they come from a different culture. So LinkedIn, on the other hand, is more conservative and is business oriented and is based very much on introductions. But we try to create something that is in between Facebook and LinkedIn. And then about the name, Rehan, it's so that I being a hacker, pretty black belt back then, I intended to go to the Technical University of Norway, but because I started my own company and had success with it, I ended up in the Norwegian School of Economy. So for that purpose, it's then to be able to talk a language that is understood and kind of translate the technical possibilities into something that could be understood in a board meeting for a company. At this school, there was a couple of things I particularly remember. Of course, being an entrepreneur and working day and night, it's not easy to deal with a regular family life. And back then, we got a text every time we logged onto the PCs. And the one I remember was that a spouse can never understand that a writer is working while he's staring out the window, right? And the other one was about first mover advantage, because in so many situations with entrepreneurs and others, they suddenly find themselves in a situation where they have invented something that is unique, and then they have to explain to their audience or customers what this is, how it can be used, and of course meets lots of resistance. When the market is ready, of course there is a big American company coming and taking over, right? So it's not a first mover advantage unless you're able to close some doors behind you. And then to the issue, how do these first mover advantages appear in the first place? And that's where we agree that you have to have luck, right? You have to be lucky to have invented this. But what I read in strategy was back then at the school was an article about a guy called Macmillan that wrote that good generals, because strategy is from the art of war, he said, good generals make their luck by shaping the odds in their favor. And this is then to the core of what I believe is important for all of us. In every respect, it's important for you and me in our personal lives. If we are looking for a spouse, should we sit on the sofa at home waiting for someone to knock on the door, or should we go out and try to find them, right? It's this proactive mentality. If you want a job, you could do things that shapes the odds for you to get it. Education is one, starting up as entrepreneur as another, but at the end of the day there too, you need that contract, right? And all these situations in life, like for instance for an entrepreneur, you can make a 3 or a 5 year plan, and maybe that's what investors would like you to have. But next week, that 3 or 5 year plan is irrelevant because something happened. So then it's about how do you deal with an ever-changing world, right? You need to know where you want to go, and then you need to deal with all these problems that occur, and that's where you need to be shaping your odds. But it's not only your own, like you, Rehan, you are shaping the odds for others. Like many governmental instances, they are shaping the odds for people from their own country, etc., etc. So this goes on and on, and I believe it's a positive way of looking at the world we are living in, and then it's about helping each other to achieve these goals we have.
Cool. So I tried to log in now, and we're talking about the website shapingtheodds.com, I guess. So I did not know it's a platform like Facebook, I guess, and I tried to connect using Facebook. So far, it's not working. So maybe you can get.
Yeah, correct. We are now, as we speak, we are making changes to the database server behind it to make to improve the speed of it. So the timing couldn't have been worse, so to speak. I guess they are actually rebooting it. So we'll get back to that. But of course, we have a Facebook page as well. But that's only we use it only to share our articles, and then we try to have the community part of it on the platform itself.
So the platform is like a social networking website, like Facebook, and it allows you to share and you connect openly there, right? Is that the idea?
Yes, it's like Facebook, where you can friend people, but the fact that you're not necessarily getting access to everyone's private life makes it easier for people to accept it. And of course, then it's very often it narrows down into which area can you help, and there it's easier for people to, of course, be helpful for people from their own background or country. But of course also then to be able to reach out, for instance, like us, if we want to try to make it in Silicon Valley, it's very good to be able then to meet people that could do introductions, etc. there. So it's both on getting these the help in selling, but in creating and in innovation related matters.
So brilliant. I will log in once it's up and running. I will log in and try it out. And I wanted to know, you have been added on my friend list for at least 2 years now, and you have 11 common friends, and you must be getting random friend requests. Do you ever check your other message box? Do people try to friend you?
Yes.
Has anyone offered you so far?
Yes, I do, and I've been very restrictive to adding people I don't know. But very many of your friends that are connecting, they are really and truly amazing people, and when I see that, I accept them. But then again, I'm also a bit afraid of accepting too many, because that will also cause even more friend requests, right?
Not really.
So that's why I had a quite restrictive approach, and I would guess very many other have too. But also that's where I saw an important function of shaping the odds, because obviously there I would be loving to be friending everyone, because that's not as personal, but in the same spirit as what you are doing, Rehan.
So I have a similar website which we have been running since 1996. It's called Poppy.com, and it's again, we are changing the software on it, so we have it's going similar process as yours, or maybe even worse. But the idea there is everything there is open, so you can't even share anything for friends only. It's like Twitter, but so we are going to be allowing people to take all the content from Facebook and put it on their Pocky.com account. And that allows them to have a backup of their Facebook. At the same time, it's totally open. So an hour a day I spend asking people, please open your follower function on Facebook. And because imagine you have 1 million followers from Pakistan, Andre, and all of a sudden when you make a public post, those followers can like or share and see. You don't have to be friends with them. So I advise all my foreign friends to at least open the follower function And when you make a public post, for example, you share a Wall Street Journal article or you share a YouTube video which is public, it allows people to see things from your perspective, especially in this day and age where we have the Democrats and Republican divided, where we have this new French thingy coming up, where we have Brexit coming up, where we have this ISIS thing going on, and Muslims are sort of becoming the next, blacks or whatever in the US. It's more important to have a dialogue and allowing people to see from other people's perspective. So that's why I have been more aggressive, even though I have been facing a lot of heat from a lot of people getting upset. But I try to go and try to allow them to. I mean, if you hate something, why do you hate it? If you don't know about it, you will definitely hate it. So if you think you're right, because I don't believe that there is any bad people in the world. I think majority of the planet is bad. If there was 1% even planet which was bad, I mean, majority of the planet is good. Even if the 1% of the planet was bad, that means we would have 7 million bad people or 70 million bad people in the world. Imagine what 70 million bad people will be doing to the planet. That's impossible to have 70 million bad people. That's like 10 times your country. So it's not, I don't think there is even 1% people who are bad. It's just we have a lot of confusion and we are raised in very different boxes. And all of a sudden these boxes are merging and collapsing and colliding and things are changing. So for example, in Oslo, people from my part of the world are becoming majority. If you go to Italy, people from Bangladesh are becoming majority. If you go to Bangladesh, if you go to Malaysia, 1% of the population of Malaysia is Bangladeshi people. Soon in Pakistan, the demographics will change soon. So in Pakistan, 1% of the population will become Chinese. People will be rude to them, definitely. Once they are here, it will start changing. They don't realize, but whenever we see somebody different, it's bound to happen that there is aggression, because all of a sudden people are shaking your core values. They have a totally core value different. Like for example, my mother wants to be a ninja, whereas a woman in your country might think of her as somebody just took her rights away. So it's that difference that we need to have a dialogue about and make other people understand. But before I get into that, I want to understand your story. You were living in Norway and you started a company in the US and you were selling Cisco and you became the biggest distributor of Cisco in Silicon Valley. Is that what happened?
No, we still have the company in Norway, and we have established a presence then in Silicon Valley. But and also this shaping the odds is something we have initiated from Palo Alto. But we still have the programmers in Norway and in Europe, and so it's to be in both those two roles. But Rehan, let me go back to what you were just saying. Because I agree with you about the world is not bad, right? But also, how do you understand the world? You do that through introspection. You look into yourself and try to think how others think based on yourself, and that is very influenced by your culture. So if the people you are looking at is from a different culture, that's when these frictions tend to happen. And let me share with you a story from 1996, where I met with an upper-class English lady in Marbella, Spain. She was the neighbor to where I was staying with my uncle at his house, and she invited for tea one evening. It was a lovely discussion, and it turned out that her father had been a general in India, and they moved back to the United Kingdom, and in the 30s she went as an au pair to Germany. Fantastic story, I believed. And she said she stayed with a rich family and they had many parties. And one day, one of the people that attended the party came over to her and asked her, "Is it true that you are on pair from England?" And she accepted, and she said, well, she confirmed, and he said, "It's so great and so important that we have these things, because when we learn each other and each other's cultures, there will be no war," he said, which is truly to your point. But I really got the goosebumps when she said, and his name was Adolf Hitler. So sometimes these, of course there are people that for their own benefit try to get as much of this global cake as possible. So the first commandment in this is to get to know each other, right? Because when you do that, you're not afraid anymore, and when you're not afraid, that opens so many things, both of love and possibilities. That was just a input I had to this thing about getting to know each other, and if you go back to the entrepreneur story, of course, this is where we have been leading the development from this city and making apps for Cisco in Silicon Valley. And of course, that has been completely against all odds, right? How can we manage, how can we sell from this remote outpost of the world, right? So it is possible, right? But in order for it to work, we need friends, and we need people that don't look at you as something terrible or someone who has been taken from their rights just because they're wearing their own clothes, right?
Yeah. So the reason I was asking about that is because my story is similar. I was not allowed in the US for 11 years. You may have actually traveled, but I was not even allowed to travel to the US, and I had to grow my business, and it was based in the US. And I used the power of the internet to grow it over and over, many hundreds of times. And it's now the largest provider for telephone numbers in the world. When it comes to DID numbers. So that's why I was asking that, because that makes our story even more similar, because I was living in Pakistan, not allowed to travel to the US. One of my managers who was sent to the US was deported, sent back. So we actually relied totally on the internet. My banker for 10 years managed to bank with me over the internet. They were constantly asking, "Sir, when am I going to see you? When are you going to come over? It's been a while." So yeah, I'm traveling all the time. My work allows me to travel. So I had to make up so many stories just to be able to do that. And eventually, after 11 years, I was allowed back to the US. And so that's why I was, and I believe that if I can do it, anybody can do it. And one of the main reason I was able to do it was because I found a good friend who allowed me to do everything. Because if it wasn't for her, I would never be able to. She was very, very cooperative, and otherwise I wouldn't be able to do anything. So it's very important, and that's why I do what I do because I know that these, as you said, managed odds or shaping the odds would allow more accidental friendships to happen. And when that happens, I'm just raising the odds. I think it will happen if I do anything or not. If people add my 500 friends or don't add my 500 friends, it doesn't matter. If people go to school or don't go to school, it doesn't matter. what matters in the end is that by going to school, you increase your odds by having global friends, you understand things, and you're increasing everything we do. We read 10 more books, it increases the odds of success. That's about it. That's all it does. And that's all I am trying to do, and I think similarly what you're trying to do. I have one question. I think you had 18 minutes. We have passed 18 minutes already. You have one question. How do you remain so calm? Because when I look at you, I see a calm human being, very, very calm person. How do you get this serenity in yourself? Is it the mountain you're across the street? I think it has something to do with the mountain also, but then what else is it?
Maybe that too. In a way, I'm very much about entrepreneurship, right? But also in my personal life, it's so that I would want each and every one of us to have a cancer diagnosis, and we learn and believe we have got cancer without having it, because we do take so much for granted, Rehan. And once you have these kind of crises, you get much more happy about every little thing you have in life. For me, that is, I've been through tons of crises too, of course, in this path, being an entrepreneur, finding how to get money for the salaries, etc. But it's also in these settings when nothing comes easy that you realize what is worth something. So being calm is more a result of experience and ups and downs, and knowing, like you say yourself, the world will get there no matter what we do, but we can help getting there quicker. And speaking of which, I saw you had joined Shaping the Odds now. The server was rebooted as you did it. And I have sent you a friend request. It was good you registered by Facebook, because then you get a profile picture there too automatically. And I will go ahead and create a Pakistan group for one. But of course, it's about the world, right? The reason you reached out to me yesterday was you saw that I was wearing a turban in Oslo this weekend.
The reason I reached out to you was I was cleaning my Facebook friend list because I have 5,000 options. I was like, who is this guy? I don't remember who is this guy. And he's not adding my friend, so he needs to go. Yeah. And then before I unfriend people, I just say hi, and then I unfriend them. And if they don't respond, then they remain unfriended. If they respond, and sometimes this happens, or I add them back. So it's about if you're not using Facebook, if you're not engaged, then what's the point of just having a number? Initially, I added everyone, and now I clean up. Like, I wish them a happy birthday, and if they haven't replied my happy birthday from last year, what's the point of having them there? So I wish them good luck, and try to move on with my life and my work, and let them be who they are, and do whatever they can. But I'm really amazed by the view. I wish you were staying longer in Norway when I'm there next week, and I could ask you to come. I can stay there on the couch, and I could just stare at the mountain for a few hours or meditate there. It's just gorgeous. You have a very blessed country. All the northern area of Europe is so beautiful, and at the same time, the people are so open-hearted and loving. It's just amazing. And I hope that and everybody who's listening, and you also, if you know any people who you think are bad, I would love to friend them. I enjoy having conversation with people who are so-called evil. They're not really evil, in my opinion. They're really wonderful people. They're so smart most of the time. And it's just that they're stuck. They need to have that cancer, as you said. When you have an emergency, you prioritize everything. And if I knew that I had 6 months left, I would just throw everything out of my life except do what is very, very important. That's basically what you're saying, and that's what is important. We don't know if we have 6 months or not. As far as I and others predict, we might just have 5 to 10 years left for the Earth before artificial intelligence takes over. So who knows? I'm really reprioritizing. I want to stay 6 months a year in Silicon Valley. I really believe that I have this hunch that Silicon Valley has become the root chakra of the planet Earth. And because of all these technology things happening, and as you said yourself, the people there are so open and really just mostly they're very open when you meet them, but on social media they're still very closed. They're still not ready to accept unknown friends. But I really enjoy. In general, I enjoy California, but in more than that, I enjoyed Silicon Valley more because of the openness of the people and the crazy ideas that go on. You can do anything you can want, do anything you want, and just it's okay. You can try it. If you feel that fine. And I love that culture, and I have tried my level best to introduce it in my own company. I have failed many, many times. Because when they go home, they have a different culture. When they come to office, they have a different culture. It's just very difficult for me to do that. I've tried my level best. For 2 years, I had been trying to create a virtual community on Facebook, where we all have 500 common friends, so that we have our own community. We have our own ecosystem. 500 people is a lot of people. To have your own ecosystem, to build anything, share ideas, and really create anything you want. I have succeeded to some extent, but I think there is a lot more work to be done on that. And I'm really, really out of energy because, some people just come in and just suck it all out of you. So thank you for your time today. I would love to chat more when you have time. And next time, make sure the background is the mountain because I can see it. I can see you. And are you going to the Burning Man this year?
I would love to. It all depends on whether life can go on without me for that week, right? But let me add one thing to your comment about Silicon Valley and this openness, because there is a string attached to it, and that is trust. Because you can only be this open when you believe that it will be not acted upon negatively. And for Silicon Valley, then, being so open is a core value and is very needed indeed. And you are trusted then with this information you receive. But if you act upon it negatively or you tell others, then you're out. Then you're not trusted anymore. So it's an important lesson learned there about being trustworthy and respect each other, and that goes with everything else in life too, right? Thanks a lot, Rehan.
I really enjoyed Andre. How do you say your name, Andre or
Andre?
Andre?
It's the French version of Andrew. So
okay.
Andre.
Are you French? Are you Norwegian? Or what?
I'm Norwegian, yeah.
Norwegian? Okay. And I would love to hear the story of your wedding in India. That sounds so beautiful. When you have time, okay?
That happened in Anhanpur Sab. So it was amazing. Thanks.
Yeah, I want to hear more. When you have time, just message me.
For sure.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi everyone who was listening. This was Andre from Norway. I met him over Facebook 2 years ago. I was going to an event with another Norwegian friend who he was coming to see, and I friended him. Then I yesterday unfriended him, and we ended up talking, and today we did this. So I'm glad we did this, and I'm really happy to meet him. And I love meeting calm souls because it gives me energy, it gives me peace, it gives me happiness to see some people who are in the mode of ecstasy without the ecstasy itself. अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन, जो लोग सुन रहे थे आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सुनने के लिए। ये मेरे साथ आंद्रे थे जो कि नॉर्वेजियन हैं, जो कि एक नेटवर्क चलाते हैं shapingtheodds.com वेबसाइट है जिसके ऊपर आप डिफरेंट मेंटर्स और एंटरप्रेन्योर्स ढूंढ सकते हैं। और इनसे मेरी 2 साल पहले मुलाकात हुई थी, कल उनसे चिट चैट हुई, उन्होंने बताना शुरू किया तो मैंने कहा वीडियो में बता दें। तो अब आप लोगों से गुजारिश है कि इनको ऐड कर लें, इनको मैसेज करें, अपने बारे में बताएं, अगर ये मुनासिब समझेंगे तो आपको ऐड भी कर लेंगे। और इनकी वेबसाइट है shapingtheodds.com, जिसमें आप अपने ऑड्स ऑफ सक्सेस को इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं। अपना ख्याल कीजिएगा। माइक ब्रैडशॉ, स्पेशली थैंक यू फॉर योर लवली comments. I really enjoyed them. Thank you so much. I would love to have a chit chat with you like this if you have time. If you have time now, I can send you the link now. If you have time later, we can do it later. But everyone, thank you so much for watching. Just an honor for that you give me your time to listen to this chit chat, and do share the video so the others can also learn. Thank you. God bless you.